Okay, I'm reloaded. Story of my deliverance. Boom. So it started in January. Coming into the new year, it wasn't really a good year for me. Not at all. 2021 wasn't a good year for me really either. But as I came into the new year, I already had like this instinct feeling that my New Year's wouldn't start in January, but my New Year's would start in February. So I started seeking out God again. I started watching videos of people on YouTube and watching, well, I'm not going to name drop, but I was watching a guy. He was talking about manifesting, and he was telling us to speak things into existence. And he also told me to write, like I was taking notes. I'm a person that takes notes of everything. So he told me to write about how I'm about to receive a breakthrough. And I wrote it down on a piece of paper. I was like, I'm about to receive a breakthrough. And I wrote that on January 29th. On January 29th, 2022. And on February 1st, I had my encounter with the Lord. I'm gonna tell you, this man was in my house. He was like right there, next to that TV. He was next to my TV when I was on the floor praying, but I'm gonna get to that. February 1st comes, I'm studying sermons of T.D. Jakes. And I've never been one to watch any type of sermons. I've never watched any of his sermons, and it's funny that the Lord led me to a certain video where he was helping people get saved again and inviting Jesus back into their hearts. So I'm at my TV on my knees with my hands in the air, and I'm getting saved again through his video and stuff like that. I got saved again because I asked Jesus back into my heart, because 2021 was real, like, it was just real barren. Like everything, like my relationships with women, my relationship with family, everything was just not, it was at a standstill. My business was at a standstill, wasn't moving forward at all. Just everything. Anything you can imagine was at a standstill. And I think that's where God needed me, so he can get my attention and make me focus on him again. But so I get saved, and I literally feel a presence. I can't see anything because, my flesh can't see, but I feel a presence so strong standing next to my TV. When I say he was right there next to me, Jesus was in my house. My father, Yeshua, was in my house. I'm gonna try to keep this video as short as possible, but he was in my house. He was next to me, and I just felt this overpowering. The feeling that I felt of his presence was so overbearing that I just kept crying and crying, because it was just an overbearing feeling of love. Like I never felt no love like that on earth. Never. Like even pouring out for myself, and I love without conditions. Like I've never felt no presence of love like that. That's how I know Jesus was right there. And so I'm sitting on my couch, and I'm still studying this video. And before I had came back upstairs to my house to finish watching a sermon, I had went downstairs to go buy some weed. I'm not gonna lie, I went downstairs and bought some marijuana, just a little bit though. And I was trying to smoke it as I was watching the sermon for whatever reason, after I just got saved, but I couldn't even like finish half of it. Like the taste in my mouth I already started coming down from smoking though. So like that day, that's when God like really just put it to an end finally. And he made me, as I was like trying to smoke it and got that nasty taste in my mouth, I heard throw it away. So I threw away the half that I started smoking, but I didn't throw away the other half that wasn't unrolled or anything, and he told me to throw that out too. I did. Next thing you know, he started making me throw out a lot of things, like my sex toys. He started making me throw out anything that wasn't of him, basically. And as I'm sitting on my couch, after I had thrown plenty of things away, he started making me renounce soul ties and things like that. And he started making me renounce certain things. But there was one thing I wasn't trying to renounce, and I'm pretty sure y'all know what it is, but I wasn't trying to renounce homosexuality at all. If some of you know, or probably found me on TikTok at Nas the Artist, I had hinted at my story a little bit about how I was a stud and I had started transitioning. And it was getting to the point where I was about to get top surgery and all that. Like, I was gonna go through with it fully. But for some reason, nothing was just working once I got to that point. I was gonna change my name legally. Nothing started, like everything just stopped. Like everything just came to a halt. So I wasn't trying to renounce homosexuality because I wanted, my biggest desire of my heart, like all my life, was to have a wife and kid. And I literally was like trying to keep my mouth closed from saying it. And it's like this, it's like a strong, he literally like pulled it out of me. Like, you ever seen a clown that pulls all those scars from out of their sleeves and they keep going? That's how I felt like he pulled it up out of me when I wasn't trying to pull it up at all. I wasn't trying to renounce it at all. I really wasn't. And when he pulled it out of me and made me renounce it, then I felt like a burden lift off of me. And then I felt his presence leave, but like his presence, I felt the closeness of his presence leave. Like, he never leaves us, he never forsakes us because he is always with us. But I've never experienced him close to me. Like, I can't see him, but I know he's right there. Like, I've never experienced that in my life, and I've always known Jesus existed. So my mind was just blown. So I'm sitting on my couch. I'm feeling tired. I'm feeling very tired now because now I just went through like a whole different type of spiritual thing that I've never been through. And I've always been spiritual, but like not to this degree. I never experienced Jesus on this level. So I was tired because I just went through a whole spiritual uncombing. He just pulled things out of me that I didn't even want to pull out of me. He made me renounce certain things that I didn't have intentions of renouncing. So now I feel drained. I'm also a little sad because now I got to let go of things that I didn't have really an intention to let go. But when you ask God to come into your life and change it, he's going to do that. And he's not only going to touch on the things that you want to change, but he's going to touch on everything, even the things that you don't want to change, even the deepest rooted trauma that you didn't want to speak of, or the deepest rooted trauma that you forgot about. He brings all of that to the forefront. He makes all of that come out. So I spent like a week crying every single day because I was grieving the life that I thought I would have. I was grieving the things that I had to let go. I was grieving the things that I didn't truly heal over. Like, it was just a process of grieving, like a process of acclimation. But even though I was grieving, I was so at peace because I never experienced Jesus on this level, like this stuff. Like, and I've been saved twice before. I got saved when I was little at my children's church. I got saved in my own bedroom in about 2016 or 17. But this was the first time where I got saved, and not only did I get saved, this time I was delivered. Like, it's amazing the way God works. But like, so I went through a week of just crying and shedding. And because Jesus, he knows how we are. He doesn't hit us with everything all at once. He delivers things in increments. He works with us. He has patience with us and mercy and kindness. And I love that about him. The most kind and gentle person I've ever experienced in my life. But I went through that week. And it wasn't just a week of grieving, because, grief, the mourning process is a roller coaster. It goes up and down. But that week, I just cried every day. I cried every day. Like, and I'm not an emotional person. I was always a person that had to be strong for everybody else. I've always bottled my emotions. And if I did show my emotions, if it was a negative emotion, it just resulted in me showing my anger and me lashing out because I didn't know how to express my emotions in a healthy manner. So as I'm going through this process now, well, when he took all of that trauma away from me, because unknowingly I had attached much of my trauma to my identity. I attached homosexuality to my identity. I attached plenty of things that were negative to my identity. So when he stripped all those things away from me, I felt like I didn't even know myself anymore. And even now, as he's building me up and I'm finding my identity in him, I still don't truly know who I am in him because he created me and he's turning me into something completely different that I haven't known. And when you don't know of things, or you don't know where you're going, or you don't know what's to come, it can be very uncomfortable. But that's the beauty of comfortability. When you're in the comfort zone, you know what's going to happen, you know what to expect. But when you're outside and pushed outside of that zone, You don't know what to expect, but the beauty of it is Jesus is able to do exceedingly and abundantly above all that we wish or ask for. So, yes, you will. Yes, you will. I'm sorry, I keep looking up. I just keep looking at the sky. I love the daylight sky. I just be taking time to acknowledge how good he is and how beautiful everything truly is. But as I'm going through this healing, I realized that I also start watching more other videos because, I have the King James Bible version. I never really read it because I couldn't understand the words. But now as I read into it every day, things become clearer and clearer to me. Like, first of all, I was brought up in Christianity as a child, and that's why I removed myself from religion as I got older, because I realized that the box that religion tries to place Jesus in, he don't fit in that box. Like, my personal relationship with him, I've got to know him on a level that I never thought I could. And it's really like, and it's a real relationship. Like any type of relationship you would have with a friend or a family member, it's a real relationship. Like, people would think that he doesn't have an audible voice, but they forget that God sent his only begotten son, Jesus, who was a man of no sin, to become sin, to save the whole world. He was born in the flesh. Even though he's spirit and him and the Father, when he was born in the flesh, why would you think he doesn't have an audible voice? There's things that could be blocking you from hearing it, but he definitely has a voice. And so he even spoke to me through Sid the Science Kid one night. I was sleeping, it was like 4 a.m. and I got woken up, but I couldn't see anything, of course, and I'm still half asleep. But he started talking to me through Sid the Science Kid. I don't know why my TV channel was on that channel. I think I was watching something scary, and so I wouldn't have a nightmare. I put the children's channel on. But he started speaking to me through it, and he started speaking to me about the things that, again, he started speaking to me about the things that he was going to have me do, and I knew it was him because he was speaking to me again about the things he was going to have me do. I'm not going to reveal those things because that's mine and his business, and you need to mind your own, but he speaks through anything. He speaks through anything. He speaks through animals. He speaks through our surroundings. He speaks through people. He speaks through a TV. He's literally God. He created all of this. He can speak through anything. And so it was a hard process. Let me get back to the topic, sorry. But as I started going through this unshaken and things like that, slowly he started having me get rid of things. Like, he started making me get rid of all of my boy clothing, and he started making me get rid of anything that had any type of negative spiritual residue. Like, I defiled my bed, of course, because he hates fornication, and then on top of that, he hates the act of homosexuality. And yeah, I done all that, so I threw out the bed. I did it on a few things, and those things he made me get rid of. And it wasn't like I came into agreement or obedience immediately. Like, I'm a babe in God. I'm like a baby who thirsts for milk. Like, I don't know how to work with God right now because this is a new walk that I have with him. I've always walked with him. I've always known that he was my savior, and I've always believed that God sent his only begotten son to die on the cross for us, and he rose again on the third day. I've always believed that since I was a child because my mother is a believer. But I've never had a personal relationship with him. So I'm new to all of this, so I'm still trying to discern his voice and what's of him and what's not. But I was being so feliciously obeisant at first because I didn't want to give up my transition, and I didn't want to give up my desires of having a wife and kid, but eventually he made me. The last time I took testosterone was actually January 12th, and for some reason when I was trying to get my refill, nothing was working at all. And eventually it got to the point where after he made me get rid of all my boy clothes and things of that nature, it was time to return all of the things that I had for my transitioning back to the pharmacy, like my shards containers, the needles, the medicine, and everything that came with it. And my heart was so broken, and I wasn't trying to, so I didn't do it immediately. I ended up keeping it for like 2 more weeks or 3 more weeks. And I was still, even after he came into my house and delivered me on February 1st, I still was having desires of women strongly. I still was like, no, I'm going to follow God, but like, I want him to make me a man still. I was like, Jesus, I'll do anything for you. Just make me a man. I was like, if you want to come take my life right now in the flesh, so that I can become a man in the spirit, I gave you my life. Like, and it got so bad to a point where one night I was just wanting to die. I wanted to kill myself. I was having heavy thoughts of suicide in my bedroom, and I was just praying and crying. I mean, praying and crying, and I was just like, just come take my life, Lord. I don't want to live as a woman. I don't want to be a woman. It's a lot of work to be a woman. And so I was in my room going through that. It was a hard night. I think it was February 19th, and I can hear a snarling in the corner of my room. Like, even though I was going through all this, I wasn't saying the I want to die and things like that, the suicide stuff out loud. Because out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaketh, and we have the power of life and death in our tongue. I refused to speak it out loud because I heard a snarling in the corner of my room, like if the enemy was waiting for me to speak it so he can come take my life. And I wasn't about to go out like that. So, praying, crying, screaming, sliding down the wall, whatever. And I had such a fit that I done worked myself up so much that night that I'd end up falling asleep, and I didn't even know I fell asleep. And I had a dream. That it was like the rapture, I believe, and like all the angels were like gold with white eyes, and out in the town looked like a new town from Call of Duty, but undestroyed, and all the houses were lined up in rows. It was actually very pretty. So the angels are like, whoever the angels touched were ascending up into the air, and the sky was open, and it was like just a bright gold beam shining out of the sky, and the angels were like this glitter lights gold. But it looked so pretty. But I ran across the street, and I got on my knees. I was like, yes, God, come get me, come get me, come get me. I was like, take me, Lord, take me. I started praying, and I kneeled down in front of two angels. One angel passed me, but the second one touched me, and I started ascending. And I was mad happy. I was like, yes, yes, I'm going with my father. And the colors was like, if you ever seen Future's album with the purple, I don't know what album it is, but it has like the purple, the aqua, and whatever colors, smoke in it. I think it's smoke purple or purple rain, something like that. Yeah, it looked like that, but the colors were so much more brighter, and there was plenty more colors. As I'm ascending into this abyss with a bunch of colorful, beautiful colors, I stop in midair, and I felt like I heard him say, I need you there. And he sent me back to the earth. And then I woke up, and when I woke up, I was pissed. I woke up and I was pissed because I was like, Lord, I've just been asking you to take me, and you just gonna leave me. I don't want to be here, especially in this gender, in this body. I experienced heavy gender dysphoria. I experienced heavy gender schism. I really couldn't stand to see myself in a mirror. Like, and most people wouldn't know. Like, a lot of people think I'm physically very good looking and things like that, so they think that I didn't suffer any self-confidence issues. I struggled heavily with it, and sometimes I still do, but not really anymore. As I started walking with God and started being accepting of his word, and before I get to the being acceptance and obeying what he's saying, forgive me, I'm not used to telling my business, so it's hard to tell my business to a camera. So that day was terrible. February 19th, that night was terrible, and the enemy was in my room waiting for me to speak those words so he can come and snatch me up. But I wasn't going out like that. I ain't no coward. And I dang sure wasn't going to take my own life, because I know where I would have ended up. And the enemy was laying it on me thick. I was planning on how I was going to hang myself from my bathroom rod. I was looking at it. I was choking myself and just doing all types of stupid stuff because I was in a fit of rage, and because I didn't want to live this life in this gender, in this body. So the next day, it's better. I say sorry to the Lord for how I was acting and things like that. But at the same time, I was still having my own desires, my own worldly desires. So I started watching Tiffany Montgomery and Minister Ewing about the covenants and things like that, and altars, evil altars, and generational curses, things like that. And I learned a few things, and I was like, wow, I gotta undo all of this history, because I found out that I was the one that God chose for the assignment, because anybody else that He's chosen before me did not complete it. And He chose me because He chose me. I don't know why He chose me, but I know I've always been the one to stand out. And as I walk with Him more, I figure it out more and more on why He did. Because at first I didn't want to accept it. I was like, you chose me. I was like, no, you didn't. You lying. I was like, yo, you could have chose anybody. It's 7 of us. 7 of us. With me included, I have 6 siblings. Plus me, it's 7 of us. I was like, you could have chose any one of the other 7. And it's a lucky number 7, because 7 is the number of completion. But I was like, you chose, but I'm the middle child. So I was like, you obviously made me to stand out for whatever reason. But I didn't want to accept it. I was like, no, you could have chosen anybody else. Why you ain't choose anybody else? I don't believe you chose me. I can't believe that, because my feelings of unworthiness. I was like, I just can't believe it. The way my upbringing, there's a lot of trauma behind on why I felt those ways. Sorry, I always get distracted and lost in that. I love nature. Where was I? Yeah, so I'm learning about these covenants and things like that. And so I start going into prayer after I watched the video, because that's what the Lord was leading me to do. He's like, yeah, you got to break these generational curses. You got to lift these hexes. You got to lift these curses. You got to undo these things. And you got to say sorry on behalf of the ancestors that did whatever to make him mad and cause these curses to come upon us. And I don't want my children to go through it. Neither do I want the generations after me to go through it. So that's why I'm stepping up to the plate. Like, no. So I start renouncing these covenants and things like that. But still got my own worldly desires of wanting a wife and kid and desiring woman in my heart still. So I started getting a little disobedient after I started doing the prayer of the covenants and things like that. And He led me to Leviticus chapter 23 or 22. And He started telling me the things that He was going to bring upon me if I didn't fall into obedience. After I read that chapter, I just said, Lord, I give up. I don't want no smoke with you. If you read Leviticus 23 or 22, you know what I'm talking about. And if He imagine thinking you gonna go about, imagine you tell Jesus no. You tell God no, thinking that you know what's best for you, and that you're gonna invite Him into your life, and you say you're gonna be obedient to Him, and you decide to tell Him no when He tells you to do something. And if you think you're gonna be able to win a war or fight against God, you are sadly mistaken, because He created you. He don't even have to snap His finger. He can breathe, and you can drop dead, and your body can consume away like dust. So I told Him I didn't want no smoke. After I read that chapter, I literally was on my knees on my coffee table. I was just like, Lord, I give up. 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 I was so defeated. I was like, all right, I tried it my way too long, and it's not gonna work. And neither do I want to die in this type of manner, because I decided to be disobedient. So I said, Lord, I give up. Let Thy will be done. Forgive me. I continued the prayer of renouncing covenants and things like that. And the things that I was still desiring, I know those desires the enemy was trying to keep in me. So I started praying really hard on those. And after I said that prayer, I was in that prayer for about an hour. And afterwards, I was drained again. But I felt so much lighter. And I was like, yeah, it's serious this time. Like, this time, I'm going to take God serious. Like, now I'm officially following Him. And there's no going back. And He made it known to me, like, all right, I'm giving you a second chance. There's no going back to what you knew or what you was doing. And since February 1st, I haven't looked back on many things, certain habits, places, people, things that He's removed from me. I haven't looked back on it. And though, I look back and I get saddened by the things that I had to give up, and after the things that I thought would be in my life, or the people I thought would be in my life, or how I thought my life would turn out. It does hurt to acknowledge that that's not how your life is going to turn out. But when you understand that God got something way greater in store for you, eventually that mourning comes to an end. and you start seeking out what he has for you. Because though it may not show up physically, it's already done in the spiritual realm. It's already done in the spiritual realm. You have to remember we was born in spirit first, before we became physical. And after this physical life, we shall return back to spirit. And where you end up on that side, in the spirit, is up to your walk with Jesus while you're here. And if you complete your assignment while you're here. There's so much more I can go into, but this story is about my deliverance. So I'm not going to get into those things. But if you definitely would like to hear any more stories, the story times, just comment. I'm Nasia, the life coach, known as Nas the artist. I specialize in gender identity crisis, gender dysphoria, and I also specialize in emotional intelligence and self-awareness. And if you would like any training or you need someone to talk to, you can reach out to me always through email or DM, which is on my Instagram at Nas the artist. Or if you found me on TikTok, you can also find me on TikTok at Nas Reloaded, and any other social media that's available, though I only feel like I only have Instagram and TikTok right now, and this YouTube. But he was really urging me and pushing me to put it out today. I've been holding off on it for a long time, and I'm a very private person. I don't really like to reveal too much things. So even now with this video, I didn't reveal too much, but I hope like I gave y'all enough. And if I didn't, you can comment. If you got any questions, you can comment. You can ask me. Don't feel ashamed for asking a question. There's no type of foolish questions. And may God bless you. And if you're going through the same thing, I want you to know that you're not alone. It's a long road walking with Jesus, but the road walking with Jesus is better than walking that road alone. It's better to suffer with the saints than to suffer with the serpent, because the serpent is already damned and promised into eternal damnation. So I don't think you want to be beside him when that time comes for the... Yeah, it's only two sides. Pick your side. Choose ye this day whom ye reserve. I chose February 1st that I will officially and fully follow Jesus. And though I'm not perfect, because he didn't, we all were born in iniquity. We all were shaped in iniquity and conceived in sin. But a saint is just a sinner. Just a sinner who fell down and got up because he couldn't stay there. Okay? Get back up again. But yeah, peace and blessings, and I hope you have a blessed day.